Hey guys, it's Lance at Mac Sound Solutions, and as promised, we're going to be doing a backup video today. I'm going to show you the best way to back up your external home folder SSD. You can watch this video right here if you don't know what I'm talking about, but it shows you how to move your user data, your user account onto an external SSD and run it from there, freeing up all that space on your internal Macintosh HD, which is great for people who have like the base model Mac Mini with only the 256 gig drive. It gives you way more room, and you can always expand your external storage. So you can start with 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes. You're not limited by that internal SSD. And I've also created 2 PDF guides. One is for setting up your external home folder SSD, and I've created a new PDF guide for this video. The step-by-step guides are linked below in the video description. They're $7 each or $12 for the bundle, which saves you $2. If you bought the original PDF, I'm emailing you the new Backup and Restore PDF guide for free, so keep an eye on your inbox as a thank you for your support. And I'm going to be using this LaCie 5 terabyte spinning USB-C hard drive. So it's not an SSD because these are a lot cheaper. But I just had this one lying around. Obviously, the bigger the better. You can pick one of these 8 terabyte ones up, link in the description. But you should do the math before you buy your external backup drive. So Time Machine is going to back up our external SSD and the Macintosh HD. So everything is going to get backed up with Time Machine. Then we're going to use Carbon Copy Cloner to clone our entire external SSD. It's going to have our applications, our user account that we're running off of there, anything that's on that drive. We're going to clone that to the same hard drive as our Time Machine. So 2 APFS volumes, one for Time Machine, one for Carbon Copy Cloner. And the reason we do it this way is Carbon Copy Cloner will resurrect your entire external SSD. Everything will be there. If you use Time Machine and you try and restore your data to a new external drive, you're going to get your data, but you're not going to get your settings. Spotlight isn't going to work. There's all kinds of weird quirks, and I have tested this out. So this is the way to go to be safe with your data and the external home folder setup. So let's get to setting up the backup drive. Step 1, we're going to format the backup drive in APFS and create 2 APFS volumes. So we're going to launch Apple's disk utility. I usually keep it in my dock, but it's also in the utilities folder in your applications folder. So here we've got it open and we can see untitled there. That is the LaCie drive. And I'm going to go to the view menu in disk utility and hit show all devices. And now you can see it says LaCie rugged USB-C, and it has an untitled volume, which is formatted in exFAT. When you first get a drive like this, they're usually formatted in exFAT. So we're going to reformat it into APFS. So we click Erase. We're just going to call it Untitled for now. Select APFS GUID partition. Then hit Erase, and it takes a few seconds. I'm going to speed it up. And there we go. Our 5 terabyte drive is now formatted in APFS. So now that the drive is formatted, we're going to delete the untitled volume, which is our 5 terabyte volume, because we're going to create 2 new volumes, one for our clone and one for our Time Machine. So I'm selected on the untitled volume on the LaCie drive. Make sure you're on the right drive when you're doing this. And I'm going to go hit the minus sign and remove this volume from the container on the LaCie drive. So I hit delete and the volume is now gone. So we're going to click on our container under the LaCie name, and we click the plus sign, and we're going to add 2 volumes, one for our clone and one for our Time Machine. So we're going to select APFS encrypted for the clone. We're going to give it a password. I always use my login password for my encrypted drives so I don't forget it. And we click on choose. And then we're going to go set the size of our volume. So we'll go over to size options and click on that. And we want to set our quota size, which is the size of the volume. So for my clone drive, which is 2 terabytes, I just want to match that. So I'm going to set 2 terabytes allotment for the clone. And then we click add. And I'll speed this up, and there it is, clone. Okay, so there's our 2 terabyte clone volume inside the container on the LaCie drive. So now we're going to set up our Time Machine volume. So I'm going to click on our container again, then click Add Volume, and name this one Time Machine. So I'm not going to encrypt the Time Machine volume right now because Time Machine, when we set it up, will reformat the volume and make it APFS case sensitive encrypted. And we'll click on size options again and set our quota size. And I'm going to set it to 2.8 terabytes, leaving a little space on the drive because Time Machine will use up whatever allotment you give it. And you don't really want to just fill your drive up to the last gigabyte. It's just not a good idea. You want to leave a little space. Then we'll click OK, and then we'll click Add, and we'll create our second volume on our LaCie drive for Time Machine. And now our LaCie drive has 2 volumes on it, the clone 2 terabytes and the Time Machine 2.8 terabytes. And now we can quit disk utility. And if we look at our desktop here, we can see we got our Macintosh HD, we got our external home folder SSD, we have our clone volume, and we have our Time Machine volume, both of which are on the single LaCie drive. Step 2, setting up Time Machine. So now we're going to set up our Time Machine, and don't worry about the one I already have there. That's for a different setup. So I'm going to hit the little plus sign in Time Machine. Then we select our Time Machine volume that we set up and hit Setup Disk. And you definitely want to have Encrypt Backup turned on. Give it a password. I use my login password again here so I don't forget it. I'm going to change the disk usage limit to none, but it doesn't matter either way because we've already limited it to 2.8 terabytes when we set up the volume for Time Machine. And Time Machine will not be able to write any data outside of the volume we prepared for it. And we click on Done. And there's our Time Machine on the desktop. Now it's going to start counting down. You basically have 1 minute before it's going to do its first backup. So I'm going to go into options here. And the first thing you can pick is backup frequency in the options. So I'm going to choose to back it up daily. You can also pick hourly or weekly, but I wouldn't really go past daily because I want my stuff to get backed up every day. And then you see we've got a list of drives in the exclude from backups list. And it's got our clone that we set up, and it's got my external home folder drive, which in my case, it's the Zyke T2. That is my external user account home folder drive. So I'm going to remove it from the exclude list by hitting the little minus sign. You can see it's no longer in the list now, which means it's going to get backed up with the Macintosh HD to our Time Machine. So 2 drives are now being backed up to the Time Machine. We don't want the clone drive backing up there, which is blank at the moment, and we don't want our Time Machine backing itself up to Time Machine, obviously. So those 2 things remain in the exclude list. So we'll let Time Machine do its thing, and we'll just fast forward through this, and then we'll have a look at our Time Machine real quick. Step 3, checking our Time Machine backup. So as you can see, we have the data on our Time Machine. That's the Macintosh HD. It's got my backup internal user account, Mini4 Pro there. It's got everything that is on my Macintosh HD. And we would use that if we needed to resurrect our internal hard drive. We'd have to boot into recovery mode, install the operating system, and then we would use Apple's migration tool and bring everything in from our Macintosh HD Time Machine backup. That would get our internal drive back up and running. And when we migrate, we'd only be migrating the data from the Macintosh HD. So that would have our backup user account, our applications, everything that's on the Macintosh HD only. Then we also have my entire home folder drive backed up, the Zyke 2 terabyte. That's got everything on my external home folder drive, not just my user account, but any applications I've downloaded from the App Store on there. You name it, the entire drive is backed up. And the main reason we're putting our external home folder SSD on the Time Machine backup as well is it gives us the ability to go back in time and grab files that we might have deleted by mistake. It is not for restoring your external home folder SSD. So that was the view of just looking inside the Time Machine drive, but you also have Time Machine mode where you click on Enter Time Machine, and then you get the ability of these snapshots to go back in time through all the backups that Time Machine has created. The first page is not a backup, it's just showing you the current state of your computer, what's attached. You have to go back in time one space to get to a backup. So there we are again looking at the same stuff. My external SSD backup, the Zyke 2 terabyte with my user account, and then we've got the data Macintosh HD. So two ways to go into Time Machine. You can just open the drive on your desktop like a hard drive, or go back in time using Enter Time Machine. Okay, so now we're going to clone our external home folder SSD to the volume we set up called clone. So we're going to launch Carbon Copy Cloner. I'm going to drag over my external home folder SSD. It's going to clone the entire drive. So we put our external SSD into the source and we bring our clone into the destination. And this menu will open up. You do not want to have enable snapshots turned on. So turn that off. Click on Use Clone exclusively because we just want to make an exact copy of our external home folder drive. And you also want to give it a schedule. I would, again, back up hourly. You can back up daily, but it's going to be erasing anything that's old and just keeping it up to date with the current state of your external home folder drive. So we click Start to start the cloning process. So I'm not going to pick a schedule for now. I'm just going to do a really quick clone. I've already cloned the drive, so it's going to be super fast. It's just going to whatever small changes I've made since the last clone, it's going to erase anything that's old and replace it with anything that's new. So every time it does the backup to the clone, it's copying the exact state that your external home folder drive is in at the moment. It is not doing what Time Machine does, which is to make multiple backups, snapshots of the state of your computer so you can go back in time and pull out a file that you may have deleted. Or if you had to set up your Macintosh HD from scratch, you can then just migrate your data back to the Macintosh HD. So now I'm going to show you how to restore your SSD if, say, something terrible happens and the SSD went down, you can't log into it anymore, but you have your backup in place. That is the most important thing. You got to have a backup or obviously you won't be able to do this. But I'm going to show you how to get your user account back up and running really easily. So let's get to it. So I'm now logged into my internal backup user account, and this is one of the reasons we have that. So if something goes wrong externally, we can get back into our computer. So I'm now putting in the passwords for my Time Machine volume and my clone volume, and I'm going to save those in the keychain by clicking on that little checkbox. So now we've got Time Machine and our clone, and we're on our internal backup user account. That's the account we're logged into. And now I'm going to change the name of the clone, give it the same exact name that we had on the external SSD. That's really important. It's got to be exactly the same. So we call it Zyke 2T. And then we go into users and groups and we set the path again, just like we've done before, setting up our external SSD. So we hold down Control, go to Advanced Options, type in our user password, go to Home Directory, hit the Choose button, and go find our user account on the Zyke 2T clone, right? It's the clone drive. So we're setting a new path to a different drive, but everything is named exactly the same. So as far as macOS is concerned, it doesn't know that it's been changed. It thinks it's the same drive, and it is basically. So double check your path. Make sure you're changing the external user, not the internal. I've got Mini 4 Pro as my internal, Lance X is my external. So I set the path to Lance X, and now we reboot and log in to our cloned Zyke 2T, which is now on the LaCie drive. Okay, so after rebooting, we have to log into our internal backup user account first to mount our external cloned drive and the time machine again, because we need those to be mounted. But it's just a good idea to reboot after you set the path of any drive. So we've rebooted. We're logging into our internal user account first. Our drives are going to automatically mount now because we already saved them into our keychain. So see, there they are. They've mounted. A bunch of my other stuff is mounting as well. Don't worry about it. But there's our time machine and there's our Zyke 2T. So now we can switch users by using fast user switching, which if you don't have that turned on, you need to turn it on. So you go to System Settings, Menu Bar, and click the checkbox for fast user switching. And now that it's turned on, we go up to the menu bar. You don't want to log out of your internal account. You want to just switch accounts because you want to keep those drives mounted. And now, because it's mounted, you're going to log into your external backup cloned user account, okay? And here we are. We're logged right back in, right where we left off. The computer has no idea that we switched drives. Basically, for it thinks everything is the same, and we set the path, etc. So it really thinks that the spinning drive is the old external SSD. We're still logged into our Apple account, iCloud, everything just works like it did. And I did notice that the menu bar took a little while to show up, but it did show up. It took maybe 30 seconds or something. But the next time I logged in, it was just there like normal. So it's just because it's a spinning drive and it takes a little time for things to load. But the next time I logged in, it loaded very quickly like normal. Okay, guys. So, in the end, what you really want is a new SSD to clone your backup back onto it, right? You don't want to be running your user account from the spinning drive. That's just a backup, and that can get you into your user account if you had to. But in the end, you're going to have to buy a new SSD, put it in your enclosure, clone your data back to the SSD, and name that SSD exactly the same like I showed you here. The one thing you got to be aware of is you never want to have two drives mounted with the exact same name. So when you get that new SSD, you can leave it called untitled, format it in APFS, clone your data to it, then change the name of the, in my case, Zyke 2T backup, call it clone 2 or whatever you want to call it, and then the new SSD, you're going to give that the exact name that it was in the beginning, in my case, Zyke 2T, right? So you just don't want to have two drives mounted on the desktop with the same name, because Apple will go stick a 1 after the redundant named drive. And I hope it's not too confusing. I think it's really simple, but somehow it became extremely long-winded. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next Mac Sound Solutions video.